Hello, trainers! Professor Palm here, and back for seconds to talk about Eeveeloutions, I see. Maybe I covered one of your favorites in the last video, maybe I didn't. Or maybe you're just excited to see what else we're going to be talking about with the entire Eeveeloution family. Well, any way it goes, I just want you to enjoy it, and I hope that you're ready to see what else there is. In our last video, we talked about the Stone Trio, which includes Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Flareon. I like to call them the Stone Trio because even though they're the OG Eeveeloutions, they all require stones to evolve, so I think that's a good name. But not only did we talk about these Pokemon, we talked about the little evolution Pokemon itself, Eevee. And as the games have gone on, Eevee has received more members of its family. In Generation 2, Eevee got 2 new Eeveeloutions, but the games also introduced something pretty cool. They introduced the time dynamic. So you could play your game at many different times. You could play your game during the day, morning, or sunset, or for some people, like you, SpongeBob, at night. But also, it introduced a new mechanic known as friendship. And with high friendship, Eevee learned it could evolve into 2 different Pokemons. One of which was a sun Pokemon, and the other of which was a moon Pokemon. It could evolve into Espeon and Umbreon. I have to say, I like to call Umbreon and Espeon the light duo. The reason why is because they're supposed to represent day and night, but at the same time, you could also call them the day and night duo. It doesn't really matter. What does matter is that they are 2 incredible and very welcomed Eeveeloutions that were introduced. And I think it's as good a time as any to talk about them right now. So, why don't we go and look into the light and start off with the sun Pokemon itself, Espeon! Espeon, the sun Pokemon, can only be evolved into by Eevee if this Pokemon has a lot of friendship, and of course, it must be during the daytime. Did you know that Espeon is based off of a Japanese yokai known as the Bakoneko, which was a yokai cat from Japanese mythology that liked to wander around and play with others during the daytime, which makes a lot of sense as Espeon itself is a daytime Pokemon. One of the most well-known things of Espeon is that glowing red orb upon its head. It might be small, but this orb glows very bright red when it's using its psychic powers, and its eyes also glow very light purple. Since this Pokemon only has paws, it often relies on its psychic powers to fight. Also, what you should know is that the orb can change colors from red to dull and dark, because of the exhaustion this Pokemon goes when it uses a lot of psychic power. But the orb also glows dark when this Pokemon is tired and wants to sleep as well. Something I want to address about Espeon's typing as a psychic type and being a light Pokemon, I have always seen psychic type being a fancy way of saying light type. The main reason I see this is not only because Espeon is known as the sun Pokemon, but because of the light trio that was introduced in the Pokemon Alola region with Necrozma, Solgaleo, and Lunala. It's very hard to convince me otherwise that psychic does not mean light when the 3 light trio, as well as this Pokemon, all have that typing. Espeon's fork-like tail helps it in battle. Since this thing can quiver a lot and also reads minds, it can help Espeon see what's coming next for it and what it can do to avoid attacks. Also, if its tail is put the right way, it also represents the ancient tool known as a sundial, which also told times of the day. So yeah, you could see this tail as a psychic tool, but you could also see it as an ancient time sun tool. There are so many things I like about this Pokemon, but I'm just going to say that Espeon, giving the cat-like appearance, is a very pretty Pokemon. Even with this cat-like appearance, it does have a lot of cat-like features. Most of all, it likes to groom itself, it likes to look its very best, and most of all, Espeon oftentimes can't stop looking at itself, whether it looks in a reflection in a mirror or even in a pool. The little tufts on Espeon's ear aren't for show. These actually help this Pokemon sense danger, and when you see those little tufts flapping, you know that this Pokemon is sensing something up ahead. So yeah, it kind of is like it's using its own future sight to protect you. Despite Espeon's cat-like appearance, it acts like a dog, as this Pokemon is an extremely loyal Pokemon to a trainer it deems worthy of it. And this Pokemon is very similar to Gardevoir. If it senses danger, it'll go out of the way to protect its trainer and make sure the trainer will be safe, even if it costs this Pokemon its own life. While it may be a Pokemon that's more obsessed looking at itself, it has no problem going out of the way to help others. In the daytime, Espeon is at the top of its game. Because of that red orb we talked about earlier, it absorbs a lot of sunlight, and that gives this Pokemon its powers. And since this Pokemon loves to be in the sun, it also really likes to show off and make its impression. It also at times can be very sassy and also be kind of rude to other Pokemon, but it really likes to show its dominance, and it's kind of hard to hate it when it's a very elegant looking Pokemon, especially since it really likes to fight to prove that it's at the top of its game. And as you've guessed, during the night, this Pokemon doesn't have a lot of power and it really likes to sleep. Since Psychic type, as I said, is more of a light type, it has a major weakness to Dark type, and since there isn't a lot of natural light when it's nighttime, this Pokemon has a hard time using powers as well as recharging. In the video games, Espeon is the signature Pokemon of Kimono Girl Nikado, who can be fought in Ecruteak Dance Theater. This is also the starter Pokemon in Pokemon Coliseum for the trainer Wes. Espeon has the highest special attack of all Eeveeloutions, with a base stat total of 130 for special attack, and with its psychic powers, you can see why this Pokemon has that incredible special attack. For those of you who really like special attack Pokemon in competitive battle, I would say always make room for this incredible Pokemon. Espeon made its anime debut in the Pokemon Johto Journey series episode Espeon Not Included, where it was revealed that Sakura's Eevee had just evolved into this beautiful Pokemon. Espeon was also used by Team Rocket operative Annie in the movie Pokemon Heroes Latios and Latias, which Annie used with her partner Oakley to try to catch Latios and Latias, and failed. When it comes to strength and weaknesses, Espeon is weak to Dark-type attacks and Ghost-type attacks. While this Pokemon only has 2 weaknesses, it also has 2 strengths, making it a very balanced Pokemon. On the offensive side, Espeon is strong against Fighting-type Pokemon and Poison-type Pokemon. As I said that this is a very balanced Pokemon, Espeon is currently the most balanced of the Eeveeloutions, having itself 2 strengths and 2 weaknesses. I gotta say, for as adorable as Eevee is, it really does evolve into such a beautiful Pokemon when it becomes an Espeon. Putting these two together with beauty and cuteness, where can you go wrong? However, if Psychic type isn't your thing, as well as you're more of a night owl than you are of an early bird, there's something that you should know. Eevee also has a form that can be found only during the night. So, why don't we watch as our Eevee falls into darkness and becomes the incredible night Pokemon itself, Umbreon! Wow, I just feel the darkness rising. Umbreon, the Moonlight Pokemon, can only be evolved into by Eevee by giving this Pokemon a lot of friendship at night. Yeah, I guess we can make a bunch of SpongeBob references. At night! Umbreon is basically a mix of a silver fox and a black cat. Yes, that same black cat that if you cross its path on Friday the 13th, you'll be hit with bad luck. In my opinion, on Friday the 13th, I think the worst luck you could have is running into Jason Voorhees, but that's a much different video for a different time. One of the most distinctive features of Umbreon is those glowing red eyes, which kind of resemble a blood moon, but it also has an incredible ring upon its head, just like Ursaring does. This ring represents a moon. Umbreon is also representational of an Egyptian black cat, but also the Egyptian black cat goddess Bastet, who was, as you guessed, the Egyptian god of the moon. If you look all around Umbreon's body, you'll notice it has a lot of yellow rings all across it. Most of them, just like the one on its head, represent a full moon, but they can also illuminate anytime that this Pokemon wants to, making it a little bit of a flashlight Pokemon. I guess if you get lost in the dark and find this Pokemon, it's definitely a good guide, especially for those who are scared of the dark. While Umbreon are a very beautiful creature, they are surprisingly aggressive. You see, when Umbreon is either agitated or angry, its pores secrete a poisonous sweat that it sprays on its opponent's eyes. Yet despite this Pokemon cannot learn any poison-type moves by leveling up. It also likes to hide in the dark, and when the time is right, it strikes at its prey, going right for the throat. Geez, maybe you should have a good Pokemon on hand, or at least be ready in the dark, because this Pokemon will leap out like a monster. What we know is that Umbreon can light its own rings up anytime it wants to, but the best time to see it is during the night of a full moon or even a new moon. This Pokemon also likes to ignite its little lights all around its body when it's excited too. So yeah, watching this happen, especially on a new moon, an eclipse, or even a full moon, is a beautiful sight to behold. And of course, it's a sight you will never forget. Currently, there is no scientific explanation for why Umbreon can do what it does. Also, the lights it gives off also give it energy. To this day, this is also completely unknown how this works and how it gives it its power. Scientists all around the world are still trying to find the answer to that. But what scientists have also come up with is that Eevee managed to become an Umbreon with the exposure of the moon's light waves, which is pretty cool, I gotta say. Being that Umbreon is a Dark-type Pokemon, it works the best in total darkness. It especially loves lunar eclipse. But the most thing that you should know about Umbreon is it really likes to go on walks, especially in the dark. If you have one, please take it on a nice walk during a starry night. It really likes to look up at the stars, and sometimes this Pokemon even howls at the moon, as if it was a wolf. In the video games, Umbreon is the signature Pokemon of Kimono Girl Zuki, who could be fought in Ecruteak City Dance Theater. Just like Espeon, this is also the starter Pokemon of the trainer Wes, who you play as in Pokemon Coliseum. Umbreon has the highest special defense of every Eeveeloution in the family, which can be really helpful against special attacks, especially when it goes competitively. With that major special defense, you can really use this Pokemon to spell doom for your opponent. Umbreon made its anime debut in the Pokemon Johto Journeys episode Power Play, where it was revealed that Gary Oak's Eevee had evolved into Umbreon, which took on an Alakazam and won very easily. On an interesting note, Eevee's evolution to Umbreon for a rival to Ash that was a male wasn't the only time. Glaceon also did that with his Eevee many years later. Kind of interesting to think that two of Ash's rivals that raised Eevee had theirs turned into Umbreon. Maybe we'll see that happen one more time. After all, third time's the charm. When it comes to strength and weaknesses, Umbreon is weak against fighting-type attacks, bug-type attacks, and as of Generation 6, since the introduction of fairy types, Umbreon is now also weak to fairy-type attacks. While it has a bunch of weaknesses, it has a couple of strengths too. When it comes to offense, Umbreon is very strong against Ghost-type Pokemon and Psychic Pokemon. Being that this Pokemon is a Dark-type, Umbreon is the very first Eeveeloution to have an immunity. So yeah, you can't hurt this thing with any Psychic-type moves, because the darkness always smothers the light. I'm definitely not one to pick favorites, but I have to say that Umbreon has one of the most unique designs ever made. I mean, just looking at this Pokemon is an incredible sight, especially since it loves to be in the dark. What I think's really cool is when this thing lights up in pure darkness. It gives a beacon of hope, but with its aggressive nature, it can also give a beacon of dread. That's what makes this Pokemon so cool, that it can be either good or bad, and it has the colors to show that it's one of the Pokemon you don't mess with. In Generation 3, they sadly slacked on deciding that they should include Eeveeloutions. So Generation 3 was, at the time, the very first region to lack Eeveeloutions. However, Generation 4 changed that. In Generation 4, Eeveeloutions were back once again, and trainers like us were very happy to see what else Eevee would evolve into. They also introduced a new mechanic known as the rocks. You had to level your Eevee up next to one of these rocks. And I also like to call these two the seasonal duo. The reason why is because Leafeon and Glaceon both represent different times of the year. Glaceon representing fall and winter, while Leafeon represents spring and summer. In the beginning, when these Pokemon were first introduced, I have to admit, I was kind of skeptical about them. I just felt like ice and grass, really? I think that this could have come earlier. But over time, I really like them, and I'm happy with the generation that they came into. I'm glad that as the games have gone on, they keep the whole rock dynamic, which is kind of cool. Instead of having to rely on an item, you just have to be in a specific spot for these Pokemon to evolve. Very similar to the time of season, that it has to be a specific time when it gets cold or when it gets warm. While there's so much to talk about with these Pokemon, I think we should do it right and start off in the spring and the summer, like we currently are in, with the little verdant Pokemon itself, Leafeon! Leafeon, the verdant Pokemon, can only be evolved into by Eevee by leveling it up near the Moss Rock. Oftentimes, you can find the Moss Rock in forests, jungles, and even woods. Leveling it up here will turn it into this incredible Pokemon. What most trainers don't know is that when Leafeon evolves, it gives off a wonderful fragrance. This fragrance, showing that it's newly evolved, has a smell that's like very fresh cut grass, and it is a delight to the senses. Leafeon is based off of red foxes as well as Siamese cats. It's like as if you used polymerization and fused them together, but you also added some leaves into the mix, and you got this beautiful Pokemon. When looking at Leafeon's leafy ears and its tail, it definitely looks nice and gentle to the touch. However, you'd be surprised that this can be as sharp as a blade, and Leafeon can use its tail as well as its ears to cut through even the thickest trees in just a single swipe. Did you know that Leafeon gets its power from photosynthesis? Not just does this Pokemon get its power, but it also gets its energy as well. So you rarely will see a wild Leafeon eating, as it has enough power from the sun. But there's something else pretty cool about this. Did you know that this Pokemon can produce fresh air just like trees? Yeah, being that it is a plant-based Pokemon, this is a good Pokemon to have that can always give you nice fresh air, but at the same time, it can also help grow your crops. Leafeon has one interesting trait that's very hard to see unless you look at it through a microscope. For those of you who were really good in science class and remember the plant cell and animal cell, you'd be surprised to know that Leafeon has more plant cells than it has animal cells. Yeah, being based off of two animals, this Pokemon lacks a lot of the animal cells and prefers to have a lot more plant cells, which is pretty interesting, and it makes sense why it has such a connection to plants itself. Did you know that in the wild, Leafeon is a pacifist? Believe it or not, this Pokemon despises fighting. It likes to live a quiet, gentle life. Most things that Leafeon like to do is go for nice, quiet walks. It likes to sleep in the sun. And of course, this Pokemon has the power to heal the forest if it wants to. So yeah, if you encounter a Leafeon, it oftentimes might run away. Not because it's scared of you, but because it chooses peace over violence. While trained Leafeon oftentimes fight, they're not very happy to fight, and that's why they oftentimes choose to go the peaceful route and sometimes disobey trainers' orders. The reason why is because they prefer to live a nice quiet life. But when they're backed into a corner, they will fight, only to protect themselves and protect their trainers as well as their friends. In the Galar region, Leafeon is a very well-loved and popular Pokemon, mainly because of the aroma that it produces from its leaves. There's a very popular perfume that is made using this Pokemon's scent, and there's also a very popular cologne. In the wild, these scents are not used just for them to attract mates. They're actually used to help heal the forest as well as can bring back dead grass as well as dead plants. Pretty cool, huh? In the games, Leafeon has sadly never been the signature Pokemon of any well-known rivals, grunts, admins, gym leaders, elite forests, or even team leaders. Yeah, kind of sad to think of a beautiful Pokemon like this is always pushed to the side. But then again, since it is a pacifist, it is understandable that it would not want to battle. Speaking of trying to be a peaceful Pokemon, did you know that Leafeon has the highest defense of all Eeveeloutions with a base stat total of 130? So yeah, it makes sense that this Pokemon has a high defense base stat, because it doesn't like to fight and it oftentimes defends itself as well as its trainers and its friends. So, if you like defense Pokemon, make a spot for Leafeon, because this is a perfect Pokemon for defense. Leafeon made its anime debut in the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl Galactic Battle Series episode Double Time Battle Training, where it was under the ownership of Dawn's best friend / rival, Zoe. When it comes to Leafeon's strength and weaknesses, this Pokemon has a lot of weaknesses. Well, then again, Grass-type Pokemon did always have a lot. Leafeon is weak to Fire-type attacks, Bug-type attacks, Poison-type attacks, Flying-type attacks, and of course, Ice-type attacks. Wow, I understand why Leafeon is a pacifist now. This thing is weak to so many typings, so I think it's better for this Pokemon just to run by without having to be in any battles. However, when it comes to what this Pokemon is strong against, there are plenty of strengths this Pokemon has. In terms of Leafeon's strengths, it's strong against Water-type Pokemon, Ground-type Pokemon, and of course, Rock-type Pokemon. Well, it doesn't have a lot of strengths, at least it has some, and that's better than nothing, I gotta say. If you like the pacifist route that Leafeon takes, then this is definitely the Pokemon for you. But I'm pretty sure a lot of you like to go for head-on attack, and I can't blame you. I'm one of those people as well. If you prefer an Eevee to look elegant while it's battling, well, there's a new Eeveeloution just for you. So, let's take our little Eevee and evolve it into a Pokemon that's cold as ice, Glaceon! And by goodness, does this Pokemon bring a lot of chills. In order for Eevee to evolve into a Glaceon, you have to take your Eevee someplace cold and level it up right nearby the Ice Rock. And trust me, this stone is bone-chilling to touch. Glaceon is based off of Arctic foxes, which in my opinion are some of the most beautiful creatures of all time with the most wonderful white fur. Oh, and something you might not have known about Glaceon is its hair is actually based off of a scarf. So, I guess this Pokemon always keeps its head nice and warm with that lovely scarf around it. The most common places that you'll actually find Glaceon are not just in snowy areas, but at ski resorts. This Pokemon is a star when it comes to going down the hill. It doesn't need a sled, and it doesn't need even skis or snowboard. Its paws act just as that, and this Pokemon really likes to do tricks in the snow. No wonder skiers, snowboarders, and even children can't get enough of this Pokemon when they go to a ski resort. Another talent that Glaceon has, as seen in the Pokemon mini-movie, Eevee and Friends, it's an incredible ice sculptor. Yeah, so if you have a very special occasion coming up, why not go catch an Eevee and turn it into Glaceon? Because it's a great ice sculptor, and trust me, this Pokemon makes some of the most incredible ice sculptures you'll ever see. And it knows it right off the bat, so you don't have to give it any training tutorial videos. It knows how to do it the moment it evolves. Did you know that Glaceon's back actually represents what people thought snowflakes were before they got to see them up close? Yeah, thanks to Snowflake Bentley, we now know that no two snowflakes are alike. But it's kind of cool to think that this has a very old-timey feeling to it. Glaceon also has incredible control of its body temperature. It can raise and drop its body heat anytime it wants to. This Pokemon can survive even the coldest, harshest weather possible. It can drop its body heat to negative 75 degrees. That's insane! Did you know that Glaceon can also freeze its body if it wants to? Oftentimes, Glaceon can freeze the hairs all across its body, and then it can fire them off like little ice needles. And yeah, they hurt a lot. After all, they are little icicles coming at you. And I think you'll understand the real meaning of having yourself an ice burn. If ice is your element, boy, do I have something cool to share with you. Okay, I honestly promise you, I did not mean for that to be a pun. But what I wanted to say is that Glaceon also could freeze the moisture in the atmosphere, even all the moisture around it, and turn it into a sight to behold. We call it diamond dust. And trust me, seeing a flurry of diamond dust is one of the most incredible things you'll ever see. You'll be left breathless. Some people could see Glaceon as an ice princess or even an ice prince. The reason why is Glaceon loves to dance in the snow. And you can find it dancing no matter what's happening, whether it's a light snow, whether it's a blizzard, or even if the snow's very heavy and you can't see in front of you. You'll always see this Pokemon dancing, and it'll definitely make you smile and want to join in. There have sadly been a few stories of some people being frozen and found, and the last thing that they said was seeing Glaceon dancing, forgetting that they were in a major blizzard. Naughty little icy Pokemon. Thankfully for being an ice-type Pokemon, Glaceon is not cold as ice. It's a very friendly Pokemon, and it loves to make friends. Whenever somebody approaches it, Glaceon happily walks over and allows people to pet it. But you also might want to be a little bit clear of the hair upon it, because that's the coldest part of Glaceon's body. Touching that might freeze your hand almost immediately. But what's really cute are its little ears, and watching those ears wiggle will always make you put a smile on your face. And it'll always make you say, "Aww," because who doesn't like seeing those cute little white ears flop? In the video games, Glaceon is the signature Pokemon of Snowpoint City gym leader Candice, but it becomes her star Pokemon in her rematch at the Battlegrounds at the survival area after you beat the game. Yeah, sadly, even though this is a very beautiful Pokemon, not a lot of gym leaders use it. Glaceon is just like its family member Espeon. The reason why is both of these Eeveeloutions have 130 for a base stat special attack. Since these Pokemon both have incredible special attack, I would definitely recommend both of them on your team if you really like special attacking Pokemon. Glaceon made its anime debut in the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl Battle Dimension series episode, A Full Course Tag Battle, where it was revealed that May had evolved her Eevee into Glaceon. Pretty cool that her Eevee that was introduced in a season before came back and evolved into a Sinnoh Pokemon. I gotta say, that's a great idea. I gotta say, if you really love Glaceon and you think it's a very beautiful Pokemon, it sadly has a lot of weaknesses. When it comes to Glaceon's weaknesses, it's weak to Steel-type attacks, Fighting-type attacks, Rock-type attacks, and of course, Fire-type attacks. After all, we all learned as kids, fire melts ice. While Glaceon has a lot of weaknesses, it does have a lot of strengths, and it is worth keeping on your team, and here's why. For its strengths, Glaceon is strong against Ground-type Pokemon, Grass-type Pokemon, Flying-type Pokemon, and of course, Glaceon is strong against Dragon-type Pokemon. So, even though it has a lot of weaknesses, it's definitely good for taking down pseudo-legendary Pokemon, especially since a lot of them are Dragon types. While Glaceon and Leafeon have a lot of weaknesses, I do still find them very beautiful Pokemon, and of course, I would always welcome these Pokemon with open arms. I think that they were a great addition to the Eeveeloution family, and I think that they have some very interesting backstories to them as well. In the remakes, when we got Heart Gold and Soul Silver for Generation 4, both Glaceon and Leafeon could not be evolved into by Eevee in either the Johto region nor the Kanto region, because both those regions lacked the right rocks for these Pokemon to evolve into. In Generation 8 in the Galar region, they removed the Ice Rock and the Moss Rock. So, how do you get your Eevee to evolve into Glaceon or Leafeon in this region? Well, the solution I'm not so keen on. They introduced the Ice Rock that was brought to life in Generation 7 for Glaceon, and of course, for Leafeon, they gave it the Leaf Stone for it to evolve. This kind of ticks me off for an understandable reason, because the Leaf Stone has been there since the beginning of time. which kind of means you could have had Leafeon this entire time in the Kanto region. I feel that they should have just brought both the Ice Rock and the Moss Rock back, because that was fun to do. Some people call them the Rock Duo because of the 2 rocks you need. I like to call them the Season Duo because Glaceon represents the cold parts of the season, while Leafeon, in my opinion, represents the warm parts of the season. Fall and winter for Glaceon, and summer and spring for Leafeon. On an interesting note, Leafeon and Glaceon were both used by people that Dawn took on in contest, which is kind of interesting that both the Sinnoh-introduced Eeveeloutions were used by Dawn's rivals. I gotta say, that's a pretty cool Easter egg that Pokemon put in the anime. Believe it or not, Leafeon and Glaceon really get along well with each other, despite Glaceon being one of Leafeon's weaknesses. But it's also kind of cute to see that Leafeon is a bit of a pacifist Pokemon that's very shy, while Glaceon is more of a battle Pokemon and it's very social. So it's kind of cute to see it as an introvert and an extrovert for Pokemon. These were some wonderful Eeveeloutions that were introduced in the Sinnoh region. I wish they could have introduced a third one as well, but I'm happy with what we got. I don't know, I just think sometimes 3 being a magic number is always a good idea. Since the first region gave us 4, the second one gave us 2, I thought maybe 3 would be great. But I'm still happy with everything. Something I always like about this is that one is based off of an Arctic fox that prefers very cold climates, while the other one is based off of a red fox that likes the nice heat and likes living in the forest. But since foxes have a lot of fur, they like the snow no matter what, and they also love rolling around in the dirt and the grass. So it doesn't matter what temperature it is or where these Pokemon are. They'll get along and they'll always be happy no matter what environment they're in. These are some really cool ways to evolve Pokemon, I gotta say. However, as of Generation 8, and that I really do like that generation, I do feel that the Leaf Stone and the Ice Stone were kind of a cop-out. I mean, come on, Game Freak. It was a lot of fun having the Moss Rock and the Ice Rock. Searching for them was always a ton of fun. But this really feels like a cop-out from you guys. And I have to be honest as well. What are you going to do in a region where there's no time? Are you going to have to now rely on getting an Espeon and an Umbreon with a Moonstone and a Sunstone? I mean, I think it was more unique when they had interesting ways to evolve than just rely on stones. I don't know, did you like the new bringing a stone to the Pokemon for it to evolve? Or did you like going on a journey full of friendship as well as finding the rocks for it to evolve? I really am curious to hear from you guys. I'm curious to know from you guys. Did I already cover one of your favorite Eeveeloutions in my previous video? Or in this video, did I cover your favorite Eeveeloution of all time? Or is your favorite Eeveeloution still out there? Well, I've got great news. This is not over just yet. We got one more to cover. Next time, we're going to talk about the intertwining Pokemon itself, the Fairy Eeveeloution, Sylveon. But for now, I hope that you guys liked what you saw. I'm curious to know who your favorite Eeveeloution is of all time, or who your top 3 favorite Eeveeloutions are. So, if you liked what you saw, please leave a like. If I gave you some information you didn't know, you want me to talk about Eeveeloutions in another video, or you're excited to talk about Sylveon next, or you want to answer any of the questions I proposed, please comment. And as always, if you liked what you saw and you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. And don't be afraid to recommend me to other Pokemon trainers out there. I'm happy to educate and entertain as many of you as I can. Thanks for watching. Palm out.